Satan came from heaven? Many people like to create stories, or imaginations about biblical stories. In fact, we either analyze a book for its content carefully, or that book loses its meaning and becomes the will of anyone. A book must be analyzed for its content in a critical and logical way, and not in an irrational emotional way. For example, did Satan come from heaven? This question could be answered with the following verse. But he said to them, I saw Satan falling from heaven like lightning. The Bible reports that whoever said it was Jesus, defining that Jesus saw Satan falling from heaven. The term heaven comes from the Greek, ouranos, and as the text is talking about the celestial kingdom. The verb via is in the past tense of the indicative, that is, it is talking about something in the past. The complete definition of the text would be that Jesus before being as a man saw Satan falling from heaven. But what would that story be like? And there was a battle in heaven. Michael and his angels were battling the dragon, and they fought the dragon and his angels. But they did not prevail. His place was no longer found in the heavens. And the great dragon, the ancient serpent, called the devil and Satan, who deceives the whole world, was precipitated. He was precipitated on the earth, and his angels were cast with him. Notice that Jesus said that he had seen Satan fall. In other words, this text refers to the past, showing the error of the angels, in which we still see another text. Because, if God did not forgive the angels who sinned, but, having cast them into hell, he gave them up to the chains of darkness, being reserved for judgment. Thus we have that the united texts demonstrate that Satan and his angels were cast, demarcating sin. Sin in the general sense of the word means errors. In fact, every error is sin. In the Old Testament we still have the verse, Isaiah 14:12, How have you fallen from heaven, O morning star, daughter of the morning? How you were cast down to the ground, you who weakened the nations. This verse balances with all the others demonstrating that Satan came from heaven. Here the term morning star was defined by Lucifer, which means light bearer. In Hebrew hail, which means that which has light, the morning star was called hail, for being light bearer, and angels are defined as light bearer. We see in the verses, And you said in your heart, I will go up to heaven, and above the stars of God I will exalt my throne, and on the mount of the congregation I will sit on the side of the north. I will rise above the highest clouds and be like the Most High. And yet you will be taken to hell, to the depths of the abyss. Here we already have a very strong construction that Satan as an angel of light has been cast down to earth. For he would like to be like the Most High. What we see is the need for battle in heaven. And we see it on the back. And it is no wonder, because Satan himself is transformed into an angel of light. Which shows that Satan and Lucifer are the same individual, with Satan being the name given to Lucifer after he fell. But we can still see the following verse that many people like not to analyze. You were in Eden, the garden of God. Every precious stone was your covering, sardonyx, topaz, diamond, turquoise, onyx, jasper, sapphire, carbuncle, emerald and gold. The work of your drums and your fife was in you. On the day you were created, they were prepared. You were anointed cherub to protect, and I established you. On the holy mountain of God you were walking among the flushed stones. You were perfect in your ways, from the day you were created, until iniquity was found in you. In the multiplication of your trade, your interior was filled with violence, and you sinned, Therefore I will send you profaned out of the mountain of God and cause you to perish, O protective cherub, among flaming stones. After all we read, it seems very simple to understand that this text also speaks of Satan, but there is a text above that says so. The word of the Lord came to me more, saying, Son of man, lift up a lamentation over the king of Tyre and say to him, Thus saith the Lord Jehovah, You are the measure of the measure, full of wisdom and perfect in beauty. According to this part of the verse, the text defines the prophet to speak a lamentation about the king of Tyre. The problem is that Tyre was not cherubim, nor was he in Eden, nor was he ever on the holy mountain. Tyre was a Babylonian king, who dominated a large region, but was never on the holy mountain. Nor did he walk on the flushed stones, nor was he perfect and without iniquity. It was never a protective cherub, who are represented by the angels above the Ark of the Council. And now, what's going on? We can see the following verse. And they reached the other side of the sea, in the province of the Gadarenes. And when he got out of the boat, a man with an unclean spirit came out to meet him, from the graves, who had his home in the graves, and not even with chains could anyone arrest him. Because, having often been bound with chains and chains were broken into pieces by him, and chains into crumbs, and no one could tame him. And he walked always, day and night, crying out over the mountains and the graves and wounding himself with stones. And when she saw Jesus in the distance, she ran and worshipped him. And crying out with a loud voice, he said, What have I to do with you, Jesus, Son of the Most High God? I conjure you for God that you do not torment me. Who was this man, who worshipped Jesus? And I said, I conjure you up for God that you do not torment me. See that Jesus continues and asks. And he asked him, What is your name? And he answered him, saying, Legion is my name, because we are many. I ask that man's name was Legion, or were the demon in him a legion? See that the question was for the man, but it was referring to the demons that were in the man. So it is in the case of the verse in Ezekiel, speaking of Tyre, for it was in reference to the demon who was in the king of Tyre, and the actions of Tyre by accepting to follow the will of evil. As with Jesus and the demonized man, the verse in Ezekiel occurs. And so you can fully understand what it says on the back. For it would be impossible for the king of Tyre to be a cherubim, let alone that he was once perfect. But according to the verses we saw earlier, we have that an individual can be called by the entity that is in him. As the demon possessed the name of Legion. As has been seen, and analyzed in the various texts, we have a logical analysis that Satan came from heaven, as an angel of light, or a bearer of light. Thus it is defined that sin or error arose before Adam and Eve. It arose because of the will of a being to be in the position of the Most High. In fact, many people consider such things to be a lie or an invention. But we can see that today in practice, men seek anthropocentrism, that is, he wants to be the center of everything. And it starts by destroying nature and its habitat. This automatically makes man define himself as similar to the Most High. For being the laws that govern all things, the Most High himself, such people think they are wiser than the universe that existed before him. The destruction resulting from this arrogance of thinking that it is more important than everything in the universe, makes it self-destruct, because the very nature that sustains life is violated, and consequently makes man's life more difficult and deadly. The more arrogant man is, the more important the universe is, he ends up destroying himself more and more, because the universe is more important than man. And so the Most High is wiser than man, to play the role of Satan and not obey the laws of the universe, only brings about final destruction.
If you are looking for more content from different areas, visit the reformadorstad.com website. News and detailed content can be found. With system of research and organization of text and video.